I need to I need to do this with God because I feel like I'll make mistakes along the way, offend people, not approach it in the way that it needs to. And so this whole journey has been about me and God teaming up and mostly him taking the lead and me just moving accordingly. But that's important. How I approach the situation is very much important because what I don't want to do is hurt others or cause, these rifts in relationships because I just wanted somebody to hear me and express how I felt, right? That's very selfish, I think.
Okay. Well, Miss Demetrius,
Hey.
we're so happy to have you here today and welcome to Denver. Welcome back to Denver.
Yes, yes. It's becoming feel like a second or third home because I think Virginia takes the second place, but
Yeah. Well,
I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
where was the first place?
North Carolina, where I am born and raised. Those are my roots. So yeah, was there until I was 17. Definitely home.
That's pretty cool. What is it about Virginia that's made it your second home?
Hmm. Um. Well, seeing as I moved there when I was 17, and went into the military, I had to learn a lot about life really quickly. I even learned how to drive there, so it definitely feels like home to me for a lot of reasons. I grew up there.
What was in comparison to when you first left North Carolina and moved to Virginia, how did your how did you change, like personality wise and like just your confidence as a person? How did that change, and like what are some of the things or some of the people that influenced you in growing while you were in Virginia?
Hmm. Um, I'll say that I had influences from, I don't know, I guess people that were aligned with what I was trying to do, but also had a foundation of Christ. Because when I left, of course, I was young, I was 17, everything was new, and I was figuring myself out. But I guess God never let me get too far from myself, I guess, or from the things that I've been taught. But I can say collectively, a lot of people began to feel like family and welcomed me. Um, and taught me a lot. So I have to say my military family definitely made a difference.
Mm-hmm. What was it like for you in the military?
At first, scary, I mean, being young and that being my first real encounter with the world, like my peers had jobs since I'd known they'd been driving and living life. And this for me was like, this is it. This is the first taste of independence, freedom, everything, right? And so it was absolutely scary, but I made established relationships that allowed me to feel like myself and be confident. Even when I was navigating identity and trying to figure that out. Because leaving home at that age and going into the real world, like, yeah, I guess I probably came off as naive, and very much vulnerable. And so I'm glad I had people around me that took note of that and kind of protected me and took me under their wing. So yeah, they definitely became family.
What was it that sparked your interest in going to the military?
Thought of myself and saw myself to be and was accepted as a creative. Weird kid, but creative nonetheless. So of course that naturally was what I wanted to do. But honestly, I guess I hadn't prepared or didn't have the resources to know how to get to that. And when it came time to figuring out a career, figuring out what I was going to do, that was the quickest and easiest transition to make. My parents, I think, wanted to feel secure and that I was choosing something that would put me in a place of security and be able to provide for myself. And I guess going to school for the arts didn't seem like the best choice at the time.
What was that how, for you? How did that make you feel? Like, was it as a young person just deciding, knowing, okay, I'm a creative, I want to be creative, this is what I want to do? How was that? How did you take that? What was it like for you?
I think it kind of broke me in a way to where I didn't I didn't look at my gifts the same or I didn't want to use them anymore. Um, And yeah, I think that's when I leaned more into, well, I have control over how I present my identity, what I do. So I leaned into that and really put my talents and gifts and interests in those things on the back burner. Whereas I feel like I could have been developing them. I was just hurt, and that's what I put my energy into, is just myself and crafting an identity that I was comfortable with. Yeah.
How did that, you being hurt and just, just sort of crushed, that affect your relationship with like your parents and
I think I went silent and I just kind of gave them distance. Like, I very much, I guess, built a wall around myself because, yeah, I'm like, well, I felt like if I can't decide how I want to navigate in that way, then I'm going to take the power in my hands when I leave your home. And so for me, it kind of looked like rebellion. It really, I think it shut me down and caused me to be a defensive, guarded person, because I felt like the people that raised me and that I should have trusted or been able to entrust my gifts and my talents, and then to help kind of push me into that, it felt like they were the blockers of that. So I think it affected my personality and my person very much, to make me secluded and guarded in ways.
do you think they noticed that? And did they, do you think they, and if they did notice it, do you think they correctly appropriated this change in behavior to you being crushed from not achieving your dreams? Did they misplace it?
I very much feel like they felt the distance, they felt, they the silence, they noticed, took note, in ways were offended probably. But I I guess I felt like I have to navigate this way for me, for my peace of mind, for my mental, and if they understand it or not, is not on me.
Have you since have you since been able to articulate to them how, that disappointment shifted the dynamics of the relationship?
Now in my 30s, they don't have a choice but to, accept and receive and appreciate, who I am now. But leading up to this, I don't think they understood, um, how I was coming into self and the mistakes and the hurts and the pains that came along with that. I think now they see a healed person, and maybe they caught wind or, uh, got a preview of that I wasn't okay or that things were affecting me, but never understood why. And in sharing the story of why, no, I can't say I've gone into the depths of it. But I have tried to share in a way that is like, hey, don't receive me in this way, or because you don't understand this, this is why. Um, but I don't know. I don't think that I've felt moved to have conversations in that way, because I don't know how they'll be received. Maybe.
Is there like a lack of trust there the because of, I guess, the way that you look at a pattern because of the patterns in the past? Is there a lack of trust there that you feel like it's not necessarily safe to tread in those waters as yet, so you kind of have to tread lightly?
Um, for me, I feel like it's just when I communicate, I like for there to be understanding,
Mhm.
right? And not to say that, oh, I just want to speak and for them to understand my experience and that be that, but for it to be a conversation starter. I think it would take more than a conversation, and very much them seeing the process because they're so close in their family. I know your blood. I grew up with you. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, no, like, I don't even want to look at you guys like that because I know you have a story. You've had your own journey. So I guess if I felt like that would be the foundation of how the conversation would go, sure, I'm open to, sharing my experiences and why and how and all of that. But that's my pushback.
Because sometimes they have a mental picture, like you said, of who you are, and no matter how much you explain to them, that barrier they can't seem to shift.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a great way to go about it, having them see the change and what God is doing in your life. Do you think you've forgiven them?
Yes. Yes. Took some time. Um, a lot of anger to sort through, a lot of pain, um, and a lot of accountability on my part of not speaking up. And so for me, I think that that allowed me to accept the healing process and be like, yeah, I have to forgive them because this is going to only be detrimental to me, keep me stagnant and a whole bunch of things. So, yeah.
How long did it take?
Um, Years and years. I think that I didn't seriously start to consider forgiving or healing or any of that until probably a few years ago. Like this is very recent and fresh for me. So we'll say 3 years ago, very fresh. Um, but I feel like that's when God really started to work on my heart and refocus me in ways that I'm like, okay, you're right. That definitely was a me thing. I'm in acceptance and accountability, a space of that. So
How was your relationship with God in your path of, let's say, rebellion, but really you were just hurting
mhm.
and you were just trying to figure out who you are and you were looking for the answers? Where was your relationship with God?
I didn't have a relationship. I had religion, and so I had a lot of traditional things that I'd been taught and shown and embedded in me, but I couldn't connect with it because it never felt like me. And so I felt like the way that I am, the things that I've done, I can't come to this God that I've been shown all my life and be accepted and be loved. Um, and so I think it had to be me coming to a space of I have to have my own relationship, really know and be confident. It took a lot of dismantling of things and theologies and different things and habits. And it was non-existent because I had religion, but I didn't have relationship. And I would go to church, try to show up in that way, but those moments would never last because it wasn't true to me in that moment. I didn't have my why. It's like, oh well, my I always got up to go to church when my parents told me, or we went to Bible study, we did this, da da da. But why? Why was I doing these things, right? And so when I found my why, that's when I established relationship and began to come to know who God was to me and is to me. Uh, but to know that I knew that God had me. So that was the beginning, just to know that relationship was important.
So, what is your why?
um, my why is doing the things that I was doing and not knowing that grace and mercy like was carrying me through and that God really values me. And it took me seeing myself in a way that God sees me, him sending people um like to say, no, I see you. I see. And so for me it's like, no, I have to live because clearly there's value here and that is my why. Like I'm not living for me anymore. It's absolutely God driven.
What was that pivotal point, that head, that climax where it was just like, oh my gosh, God is here. He is seeking after me, and I hear you.
Being wanting for so long to have this goal of I need to be married by 30 and doing that. And doing that with a woman and being I don't know, a lot of people are scared to be like, no, I was good where I was. No, I felt like I was good where I was. And it took me going through some really low places in that after having everything I thought I wanted and it's still not having peace. Um and so it took that situation in marriage ending for me to be literally standing in a mirror contemplating having different options of how I was about to take my life and just being like I'm tired. Like God, I can't do this. But yeah, no, it was really really real for me. And I'm like, well, if you are the God that you are, then you will remove this pain. You will help me navigate this. And I've been living since. Um, a lot of people see me, and now they see a light, and uh, just like drawn to me. Um, and I absolutely am like, well, I feel like that's Holy Spirit just, beaming out here because I take no credit. I can't. Like I was a mess literally 2 years this time ago. So I know that it's not me. Uh I always present myself in a way of humility, and it's not a show. It's not a this is me. This because I know that I can very much not be here. Um and had God's hand not been on my life, I could have been anywhere. I have so many things and places that I am sometimes embarrassed to share that that was me. In low places, drinking every day, like from the time I woke up to and it showed like through my body and things. And so God is truly amazing to have loved me and continue loving me, even in flaws, because by no means am I saying, oh, I'm perfect. It was you know, now I'm good. No, it's a daily dying to self, a daily like committing and recommitting myself to this process. And so by no means is it easy, but it is worth it. In ways I used to find motivation, uh, and they would be my inspiration. Like I'm creative, I'm doing these different things. But getting by myself really allowed me to spend time with God and have worship and have all these different uh, moments of intimacy with Him. And then it'd be like I would wake up and have these wonderful, creative, brilliant ideas. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is definitely not me. This came from spending time. This came from committing to, hey, these gifts are yours, right? Do with them what you will. And so that really shifted how I how I became inspired to um yeah, yeah, use my gifts.
So what was it? When did you decide? When did you decide? And was there something that happened that where you were just like, you know what? I am going to see where these creative talents, where they get me. I'm going to try and strengthen them and pursue them. Was there something or someone that encouraged you? What was it?
So I think a large part of my life, people have pulled on me to be creative and do this and do that. You're so great. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Right. But I always felt like I need to keep this close. I'm like, this is for something, right? Even if I wasn't as close to God, I knew that these gifts were meant for something. And so keeping them so close to me, I'm like, well, all right, I'm old now. So maybe God just gave them to me to have. But I was I think it was around the holidays. And I was sitting at home and I'm like, I want to go back to school. Um, and so I'm looking up local places in North Carolina, but I filled out applications and it seemed like nothing was going through, like the financial aid, nothing was working out. And I'm like, all right, God, like, what's up? So I applied to, or I found this school in Colorado Media School, shout out. And definitely was like, why am I going way out there? Know nothing about, had never been to Colorado in my life. Um, Commuted out here, saw the school, went back home, prayed about it some more. That was like October of 2023. And I was back here to start school in January. This is August. I've graduated, of course, but it a lot of people didn't even know I was going through that process. Like I had to keep it really close to me. Like, yeah, people close to me knew, but I was praying, like, God, if this is meant, like, keep me focused, keep me tuned in. And it began to sharpen skills, and people began to see things about me and my gifts that I like hidden and had, really close to me. And God is like, no, this is the place that is going to unfold. And so that gave purpose to my creative, to develop discipline every member, to want to advocate for youth and their mental health. Um, and still not about me, right? But I'm using my creative to uh, help others to heal through things that I've been through and can share my testimony about. Um, I don't even know if I answered your question. Okay, okay. But yeah, it definitely is inspiring to use my gifts in a different way because I was using them for self. Um, you could you could usually find me at an open mic or just different creative things, but there was no substance to it. Uh, I even released a song like on Apple Music and other platforms, and it's still like I'm like, okay, yeah, I did that, but I wasn't full with that. And even with the little to no recognition that I feel like I'm getting right now for the things I'm doing, somebody's watching, and the people that it's supposed to get to, it's reaching, right? So there's purpose in using your gifts with God through this. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Keep myself poised, but I'm like trying to like I'm so excited just listening to you.
Thank you. The people can't see you do it. No.
So where do you see yourself?
Uh, I pray doing all the things that I'm doing now on in a bigger way. Um with the team because I'm tired. Uh and just in giving, being able to give because God knows my heart. Like I am a giver. Um and sometimes to my detriment, but I am a giver and I want to continue to be able to give in spaces that it matters. And so yeah, I'd love to see myself in spaces that advocate for mental health, advocate for the youth and the different issues that they navigate with identity. Um, but yeah, doing what I'm doing now in a bigger way with more support. Yeah.
This word identity has come up a few times, and I just want to give you just a little bit of open space to tell us a little bit about your struggles with identity and, just
Okay. Um, well, for me, I was given started for me when I came out the womb, didn't know it. Right. I was given the name Demetrius. And for me, that caused a lot of people misgendering me. And when I was navigating uh, my sexuality, I really didn't mind being called sir here and there or going undetected. But as I've gotten older and established my relationship with God more, it's become kind of like a thorn because I can get real pretty and I can dress it up, but I want to remain true to me, right? And for me, I think my whole life has been about that, being true to my identity and my person. And as I've gotten older, it's just been in respect to not disrespecting God in that way, right? Because I don't think God made any mistakes when He made me. Um, and so sometimes I had to question that. I had to go into a space like, was I meant to be female? Was I meant to navigate this life to the point where I was contemplating taking hormones and going through that whole process? Um, I went through some surgical things because of health issues, but ultimately they were going to lead up to um, me changing my gender. And how disrespectful is that to say, God, you made a mistake. You didn't know what you were doing over here. Um, so for me, I want to give voice to that and let people know I understand. No, I get it. I absolutely get it. However, are we really telling God that He made a mistake and did not know who He was creating when He identified our genders and identified who we would be and called us to be? And so for me, I think that's humbled me and kept me humble. For people to still kind of, huh. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's the door that opened for us to talk about identity. So, God is funny. Like yeah, biggest comedian I know, like just out here. But no, it's absolutely humbling for that to be my experience with identity and to have to be like, no, God didn't make a mistake, guys, and I know because I was over there the same mindset of I don't feel like I'm supposed to be in this body. Um, yeah, yeah. I hope that gave you some insight to what identity has been for me. But yeah.
do you think, and just in listening, what I'm gathering is it sounds like you are in a place where you are now at peace with who you are as a person, and would I be correct in saying that you have found your identity?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely peace because I would get really emotional or angry or you know. But it's a part of my journey, it's a part of my process. Um, but in that, the test for me is and has been correcting people. Um, and I feel like God gets the glory every time I do it. It becomes easier every time. Um, because initially it was just like, oh, it's okay. I'll just let them. No, no. Because even as small as that seems, that's me letting another thing go under the radar and just, okay, sweeping that under the rug. It's okay. No, they didn't mean it. No, I need to definitely stand in who God has called me to be, which is a woman of God. Like it's, yeah, and it's a process. Even to see myself as feminine, still have struggles with that. People believe that you come to God and you come and you present your body as a living sacrifice and everything magically just goes away and you're perfect, you're good. No, no, it takes work.
Oh yes, because we have to, you know, all these habits and stuff that we have, it's an undoing, right? And it takes work.
And the flesh is going to want to do what the flesh does. So,
Yeah.
naturally so.
Yeah. It goes back to what you said, which is dying to self daily.
Discipline every member, okay? That's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
You said it's every time someone, you know, makes a mistake and misgender you, yes, you could sweep it under the rug, but I like what you said. I think it's another way the Lord is trying to get you to realize you have a voice and to get you to speak up and to not stay in silence anymore and just say, no, I'm a woman. And that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's major that you said it, because not even just in relation to sexuality, I've made myself small so I don't have to speak or be big in spaces, because naturally so people have ignored me and overlooked me, right? But in this time, it's kind of weird to be lean into confidence and be like, well, God, if this is where you're leading me to speak in this space, then I have to do it, right? Because there's purpose in that. And I might not understand it in that moment. It's probably not even about me, but you know, that is important, I think, really has been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone asked me how I thought about you. And I think about it now, and you know, the Lord gave me the words, and I think it applies to anyone, even to myself, any one of us who decides to surrender to God and allow Him to do this work. It's like a flower that wants to blossom and unfold. And the only way that flower can truly blossom and unfold is with the breath of life, the creator that created it itself. You know, and God created us, and we are like flowers. And unless we have, you know, Christ living in us, the breath of God, just, you know, Him working in our lives, we can never truly blossom into this beautiful flower that we were meant to be. You know, we are like God's little flowers.
Yeah.
That He wants us to come to our fullest potential. And from my own experience as well, I don't think we truly know what our full potential is. God is the only one that can truly get us there, you know? And I think in a lot of ways, sometimes we don't dream big, you know? We don't pray big prayers.
Yeah.
We pray really little prayers because we can only see so far. And we sort of put God in this same small box that we're in, when really He lives outside of our limitations.
Yeah.
Right? And so because we can't see infinite, we pray these small prayers and we don't trust Him to answer them.
There were two different occasions, and two different individuals that told me this, but in the context of dream bigger, think bigger. When it comes to the Shell's brand, think bigger. When it comes, your ministry, think bigger, dream bigger. And so I think that's very important because God is, yeah, to put him in a box is funny. That's crazy, wild. But yeah, like I think we have our limitations, obviously, as humans, but listen, the opportunities are infinite with God. It's so beautiful that you put it that way, because no, definitely been I've been, yeah, I've done that. I've put God in the box or tried.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Big God, big God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see that because it's like it's happening just listening to your story. You are one heck of a flower, and I cannot wait to see.
Oh, that's
It's totally a beautiful compliment. Thank you. I listen, I'm trying to find the balance between my humility and my confidence here where I'm not being, because I never want to go over to being prideful or I got this and just arrogant. But I definitely want to have that God confidence and be sure about what I'm doing and confident in what I'm doing. But I often, like I said, I'm working through shrinking myself and making myself smaller in spaces because I feel like that's the very opposite of where God is taking me and has been building me and crafting me for. So listen, I'm good with being behind the scenes. Just I feel that on a spiritual level. Like it's okay if you like.
Anything else you wanted to add that I didn't ask?
I mean, have me over here crying like 5 minutes in. I don't really know what else you want from me. No. I am absolutely grateful, even in me not knowing, because believe me, I've been a control freak. Like I have to know every step. And with God removing that and me being like, Faith, I'm trusting. God, you're in the driver's seat. You got it. Has made for a really fun journey, a peaceful one, like you said, and I'm finding happy. I didn't really know, I didn't really know what happy felt like for a long time, and so I'm really excited for the journey that God is taking me on. I feel like I'm living. It's just so weird, like to look back and be like, I was just existing for a large part of that time. Like I was just here going through the motions. I don't even know what was happening then, but yeah, I'm living, breathing, moving. Yeah. And so that feels good to me. Thank you, Cadorna.
It's my pleasure.
And my phone and space. Look at God coming through because I was concerned.